Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, I'm your host, Mrs. M. And if you haven't, make sure you click the link below. That way you can subscribe to my channel and not miss out on anything you need to scale your business to six figures and beyond. Pow! So I get a lot of phone calls about what is the real cost to do government contracting. A lot of people say you can start with no money, no experience. So let's just put it to the test. I've been doing government contracts for over 30 years. And I actually live in Washington, D.C., or the outskirts of Washington, in Alexandria, Virginia, which is about 12 miles away, somewhere around there in Washington, D.C. So I've been here for over, 15 years. And I was a veteran. I've been a GS contractor, a GS employee before I went away to college. And then when I came out, I did my boutique. And so I hear a lot of people, oh, you can do something with no money and it takes a little bit of time and it makes it sound so easy. I get people calling me, they're a single parent and, single mom, a single father, or they're looking to make a change when it comes to leaving their current situation. So the question comes down to how realistic is it for you to win a contract with zero experience and no money? Well, let's look at what you do have to spend money on. You are going to need to spend money to get your business registered with your state. I don't think there's any state where there's not a fee incurred for registering. So the first thing is you're definitely going to have to get registered. Now, sam.gov is absolutely free. You can, do your DSBS profile free. And you can look at putting up your LinkedIn profile, absolutely free. And you can do a website, absolutely free. So all of those are free. But where I think a lot of people get a little confused is if they want money right now. So you can get started probably with just the basics of what you need to pay for your state. I would say yes. Your website can be free. You can do WordPress, you can go on Wix. There's a lot of things you can do that are absolutely free when it comes to your website. So now we're just looking at the money for the state. What other fee do you have to look at? Well, you can actually go on to sam.gov. You can go on to a lot of different state websites to get bids. So you don't have to pay for a bidding platform. If you go on your state, you can get your local and your state. If you go on sam.gov, acquisition.gov, fpds.gov, usaspending.gov. These are websites that are government websites that cost you no money. So now we're just looking at, let's just say for argument's sake, $159, somewhere around in there, you register with your state. We're going to use the state I've been affiliated with forever, which is Florida. So now I've registered in the state of Florida. What would be my next step? Can I really do this without any money and no experience? Well, the answer is yes, you can, but it's not easy. You're normally going to be the exception, not the rule. And what I mean by that is you're going to have to put some time in. And I've seen people win contracts in as little as 2 weeks, but normally they're small contracts. They're not multi-millions. And when I've seen people win the multi-million-dollar contracts, guess what? They've had experience in commercial. They've done commercial. They've had commercial clients. So the learning curve is a lot different. They don't have to learn how to lead and be a leader and supervise. They don't have to have their employee handbooks. They've done all that stuff. So when you're getting started, timing is the key. Do you have a subcontractor agreement already ready? Do you have your website ready? Do you have your CAPE statement ready? CAPE statements, you can download those. They can be absolutely free. We have some free templates on our website. So now we're still just looking at the time. It's not necessarily the money, it's the time that it may take to get it up and going. And I don't want you to think it's just a cakewalk, because when you're looking at doing this, with it being my favorite phrase, six figures and beyond, pow, it's going to take time. You can do it. As soon as I've seen anyone to do it, it's been in a couple of weeks. And they had their case code for years, but they updated their DSBS profile. One of our students did. And they became visible and attractive, like I've said before. But like I want you to know, it is normally going to take around 90 days or so for you to even start getting the traction that you're going to need, unless you're exceptional and not the rule. You're going to have to be exceptional. That means you're going to put it in, you're going to do your emails, your email campaign, you've got your phone script, where you can call. That's important. So if you don't have any experience, you've never done commercial, you have no money, that would be a tough one. You're going to have to be exceptional because you're going to have to overcome a lot of learning curves. With government, it is learning curve that are the one. You've got to know how to do a little research. You're going to want to download the fiscal year budget. So what makes you be able to be an authority with no experience and all of those things is learning what your customer specifically has a problem with. What is the solution to that government agency's concern? Once you're able to zero in by looking at their budgets, going onto their websites, and understanding what that agency's problem is, and if you have the solution and you can format it where you can put it inside your capability statement, you can put it on your website, because remember, you may not be able to talk to them. Talking is easy. We first listen when someone's talking, we see them, and then we listen to them, we look at their body language and all that. But you may not get a chance to be in front of your government buyer. So it may have to be where you're able to have to express it in words. And sometimes we're not as, really eloquent with words as we are when we can have our verbal communication. So take your time coming up with those keywords, the hook, the elevator pitch. All of those are important because they make you what? They make you attractive. So once you are visible by being on DSBS and having the keywords, if that's the key, anyone can be on DSBS, Dynamic Small Business Profile. Anyone can do that. Any of those things. As a matter of fact, millions of people do, but they're never found. Nothing ever happens. Why? Because they're just there. They're just sitting there. They don't have the keywords to bring them. So really, really spend your time to be able to do this in a shortest period of time with no prior experience and getting the money in as soon as you can. You must really put the energy and effort in to be extraordinary and not the average. That's the key. If you're extraordinary, you can, but don't think that everyone can. You want to make sure you look at your agency's buyer, their federal budget. Understand what their problems are. They tell you right there. Then make those your keywords. Make that your hook. Your hook is a sentence. Your keywords are your phrases, and your elevator pitch is at 2 to 3 minute, if that long, seconds, where you get their attention to do what? Have them go to the next step, which is a briefing. Having them do a capability briefing with you. Just want to make it. I get a lot of phone calls from single parents, and they're like, look, does this government thing works? The answer is yes. It works if you work it. If you are up against a time crunch and you've never, ever, ever done commercial before, never done any other kind of business starting with government, the learning curve is going to be high because there's a lot you're going to have to overcome. There's a lot of agreements you're going to have to put in place. Your subcontractor agreement to do the middleman. You want to make sure you have a non-compete confidentiality agreement. I just seen that on the RFP, request for proposal. They want to know what your confidentiality agreement is because they don't want you sharing anything. Do you have that in place? Do you have your business plan? Do you have your handbook? Do you have your job descriptions? If the answer is no, 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 then work on those things. Get the foundation. But don't think that you're going to start running at full speed if you don't have any of those. You've never done any leading or hiring or vetting of subcontractors. That's what you want to focus on. So I want to be realistic. When people call me and they ask me, can I do this with no experience, no money, and win a contract worth millions of dollars in 2 weeks? My answer is going to be the same. You're going to have to be extraordinary. If you're not extraordinary, the answer is probably going to be no. So I want to be realistic. This is one of my realistic videos. Let's be realistic for a minute. It can happen. It does happen. But the percentage is slim. Now, what ends up happening is you put time in. You might win a contract in 90 days. It might be a small one. You got to build up that past performance, get that CAPE statement looking good, your introduction letter, your key phrases, your hook, your elevator pitch, all of that. So wrapping up here, it can happen. You do want to make sure you keep your positive attitude, but let's be realistic. There's work to be done. The learning curve can be high, and you can do it, but just expect to put the work in. It won't be a cakewalk. It won't be boom, boom, boom. You will have to be involved with the contracts if you're doing the middleman to some level. Just can't give it to them and say, here, take all the work. You are the prime. You're the person they're going to contact. So just understand what's involved. I've been doing it for close to 28, 30 years. I love it, love it, love it. Pros and cons to everything. The pros definitely outweigh the cons. It's a life changer, game changer. but just come into it knowing and have the mindset of it being a business that is serious. You can have fun with it, but make it a serious business and look at building the foundation so that you can win those contracts and you can make this work and you can leave your 9 to 5 and you can have that legacy that you leave for your children to take over that business and they're doing government contracts. Just know you got to put the work in. Is it possible? Yes. But in order to win those contracts, you're going to have to put it in. So just want to make sure we know what we're getting into. I love it. Wouldn't change anything, but I want to be realistic when people call me and say, hey, Miss M, can I do this contract? No experience, no money, win $1 million. Probably not $1 million, but you can win. I've seen people who've done it in 2 weeks and won 10,000. I've seen people win 100,000. I've seen people win 500. Extraordinary people win 3 million, but that is when they get to be an extraordinary. There's something that maybe they offer or industry that they've really studied. Things usually there's a backdrop to a lot of what you don't hear. So this is just that reality. Get it, make it, understand it. Now, if you want to learn the steps and all that goes with it, then make sure you sign up for my free masterclass, which I call my GovCon Lunch and Learn. I'll have one this Wednesday, and I'd love to see you there. And until next time, be safe and take care. And let's win these contracts and get to that 6 figures and beyond. Wow. See you soon. Bye-bye.